Most NFL fans' favorite player growing up is a typical franchise quarterback like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or even Pat Mahomes. But my favorite player growing up was someone a bit unconventional.
Here we go. First snap of the overtime. The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Got him at the 30. It's Thomas at the 50. Stifford got him through to the 30. To the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on the New England.
It was halftime of the 2008-2009 College Football National Championship game between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Florida Gators. The score was tied at 7 apiece as the Gators huddled together in their locker room. The first half was physical and brutal. The team was gassed and needed motivation. Head coach Urban Meyer wasn't fazed. He knew exactly who would step up. With 30 minutes left to the biggest game of the year, the 2007 Heisman Trophy winner and leader of the team, quarterback Tim Tebow, made his way to the center of the huddle and poured his soul out to his peers.
Get in here! Let's go! Get in here right now! Get in here! Hey, we got 30 minutes for the rest of our lives! 30 minutes for the rest of our lives! That's our bet on the first half. It ain't happening. We get the ball. I promise you one thing. We're going to hit somebody, and we're taking it down the field for a touchdown. I guarantee you that.
Guaranteed.
Look at me.
Let's go.
We got 30 minutes.
Let's go.
For the rest of our lives.
For the rest of our lives.
Let's go.
Let's go. Lock arms. Hey, we a team. Hey, lock arms. Lock arms. Hey, put your arms.
Inspired by Tebow, the Gators played their hearts out and dominated the second half. Florida won at a final score of 24-14 and won the national championship. Tebow second. In a post-game interview, Gators running back Percy Harvin compared Tebow to Superman, and he wasn't that far off. Tebow threw for 231 yards and a pair of touchdowns, while also rushing for over 100 yards. After Tebow completed his incredible college football career, the left-handed quarterback was selected in the first round by the Denver Broncos. In his rookie year, Tebow only started 3 games and was underwhelming. He went 1-2 with a pass rating of 82.1, but this was only the beginning for Tim Tebow. In Tebow's second season, he didn't start week 1 either. After the Broncos started 1-4 through their first 5 games under Kyle Orton, Tebow got thrown into action. The left-hander's first start came on October 23, 2011 in Miami against the 0-5 Dolphins. The Dolphins were the worst team in the league at the time, so Tebow's first start should go smoothly, right? Wrong. Tebow's offense didn't even score once through the first 56 minutes of the game, and with 4 minutes left, the Broncos found themselves in a 15-0 hole. However, throughout his entire career, when the fourth quarter came around, Tim Tebow became Houdini. Just when Broncos fans had given up on the game, Tebow led his team right down the field and found receiver Demaryius Thomas for a touchdown with under 3 minutes on the clock. Denver managed to get the ball back, and Tim Tebow did the rest. In cinematic fashion, Tebow orchestrated a terrific drive and hit tight end Daniel Fells in the end zone with 17 seconds to play. The Broncos still needed the 2-point conversion to send the game to overtime. Naturally, as he tends to do when the entire game comes down to one play, Tim Tebow ran the ball in himself to punch in the 2-point conversion and tie the game. The Broncos went on to win the game 18-15 in overtime, and a legend was born. 2 weeks later, the Broncos faced the Oakland Raiders in a pivotal division matchup. Denver found themselves in a 17-7 hole at halftime, but as long as Tim Tebow was under center, the game was far from over. Tebow and the Broncos came roaring back by scoring 31 points in the second half. Tebow had 2 comeback wins in 3 weeks. The next week, the Broncos went on the road and beat the Kansas City Chiefs 17-10. Only 4 days later, during a Thursday night matchup against the New York Jets, Tebow and the Broncos found themselves down by 3 late in the fourth quarter. However, throughout his entire career, when the fourth quarter came around, Tim Tebow became Houdini. Tebow led the offense right down the field and capped off the drive with a 20-yard rushing touchdown of his own to take the lead with under a minute to play. The Broncos won the game, their 3rd win in a row. Tebow went on to lead the Broncos to 3 more come-from-behind wins and a division title that year. The Broncos ended up making the playoffs as the worst division winner in the NFL and had to face the 12-4 Pittsburgh Steelers in the wildcard round. Despite being the away team, the Steelers were heavy favorites. In addition, Tebow's magic seemed to be running out as the season neared its end. Tebow was determined to prove that he didn't need said magic to win games and started the game red hot. Tebow scored in the second quarter both through the air and on the ground, and the Broncos led 20-6 at halftime. But things can never come stress-free for Tim Tebow. The Broncos completely collapsed in the second half, and the Steelers fought all the way back to tie the game at 23 and send it to overtime, aka Tebow time. Throughout his entire career, when the game was on the line, Tim Tebow became Houdini. Denver won the coin toss and elected to receive. On the very first play of overtime, lightning struck.
Snap of the overtime. The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Stiff arm got him free to the 30, to the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime.
The next week, Denver headed out to Foxborough to face the evil empire, the New England Patriots. Tebow looked like a lost sheep against Brady, and the Broncos got blown out. Due to Tebow's lackluster performance against Brady, the Broncos jumped at the opportunity to replace him with the only quarterback who had been compared to the GOAT, Peyton Manning. With Manning on the team, the Broncos looked to ship Tebow out of town. Tebow's stats weren't great on paper, so he ended up being shipped off to the New York Jets to back up Mr. Butt Fumble himself, Mark Sanchez. Tebow couldn't stand watching from the sidelines, and after 1 year as a Jet, Tim Tebow called it quits. 4 years after leaving the NFL, Tim Tebow reappeared on a different New York team. No, not the Giants or Bills, but the New York Mets. In 2016, Tim Tebow began his career as a professional baseball player. In 2018, Tebow had his best season. In 84 games with the Mets AA affiliate, the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, Tebow drove in 36 runs and had an OPS of 734, enough to get the outfielder promoted to AAA. Tebow struggled in AAA in 2019 with an abysmal batting average of 163. After 4 years in the Mets minor league system, the team decided that they had seen enough and decided to part ways with Tebow. Just like that, Tebow's baseball career came to an end, and the major leagues never got to see the late-game magician Tim Tebow. Prior to the 2021 season, the Jacksonville Jaguars were in the hunt for a new head coach. The Jaguars elected to bring in one of the best to ever do it on the college level, 3-time national champion and former Florida head coach Urban Meyer. One of Meyer's first moves as head coach was to sign the man who played quarterback for 2 of his 3 national championship teams, Tim Tebow. But Meyer didn't sign Tim Tebow to play quarterback. Tebow came to Jacksonville to play tight end. You can't spell Tebow without T-E. Tebow suited up for the Jaguars' first preseason matchup against the Cleveland Browns. Tebow played 15 snaps, and all he managed to do was go viral for an embarrassing missed block. After only a single appearance at tight end, the Jaguars put an end to the experiment and let go of Tebow in their first round of cuts 2 days after the game. In wake of being cut, Tebow decided to hang up his cleats and retire from the NFL for good this time. After his release, Tim tweeted the following: "Thankful for the highs and even the lows, the opportunities and the setbacks. I've never wanted to make decisions out of fear of failure, and I'm grateful for the chance to have pursued a dream." In my opinion, the tweet is an excellent recap of Tebow's career. Tim Tebow might not end up in the Hall of Fame, neither NFL or MLB, but he made sure to leave no stone unturned and no path not taken. When all is said and done, there's not a single sports fan in America who has not heard the name Tim Tebow. Thus concludes the story of the one-hit wonder, the multi-sport athlete, the late-game magician, Tim Tebow.